everyone? Welcome to a D&D podcast episode. We're back to music. So thankfully we're, sticking to the theme that we know when I started this channel, uh, wanted to stay with. So we're talking music, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this album. This will be a quick album review, because I know how people are in this generation. I sound kind of old, but how quickly everyone's dopamine receptors and attention spans are, shot and out the window. So you're probably, watching this while you're eating or scrolling on TikTok or Instagram Reels, because I know that's something that I would do. But I wanted to give a quick, like, 10 to 15-minute album review on the new Don Toliver album, Octane. I think it's safe to say Don Toliver has yet to drop a bad album. So far, he is 5 for 5. He has been on a 5-run album run here, with his last drop being back in 2024, Hearthstone Psycho, which was very well received by the public, the general public, with tracks. I have, the track list here. New Drop, of course, which was featured, I believe, in NBA 2K26. Went very popular on TikTok. So if you're on TikTok, of course, you'll know that Bandit, of course, which was one of the lead singles leading up to that album. And another one worth mentioning, Kryptonite, of course, the opening track, which I love the beat switch in that song. Great song. But we're not here for that. We're here for Octane, the one that just came out today. As of this recording, it is January 30th, 2026. And like I said, I would be remiss if I did not talk about this album. That's how much I liked it. As soon as I finished the track list, like, I was calling my friends saying, like, this album was so good that as soon as I finished it, I restarted it. I started it over again, and I've never done that for an album. So to say that, it just goes to show just how much I really liked it. And the fact that I'm, recording this also shows how much I liked it and how much I wanted to talk about it, cuz I was in the car, doing what I do, and I caught myself, like, thinking to myself and speaking out loud to myself, like, "Oh," and just noticing these little things where I'm like, "I could easily talk about this if I recorded a podcast episode and reviewing it." So, my podcast is about music, so I might as well, talk about it and do an album review. And if you guys want more album reviews in the future, feel free to let me know in the comments, or obviously you can always shoot the um, Instagram with a DM or a comment. Before I get into the review, I want to say that stay to the end of this video so that you can catch my official rating for this album. And if I do more album reviews, you will catch more album ratings at the end of every video. So be sure to stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's get underway. With the first track being E85, the thing to open this album up, which grabs, the consumer and just pulls you right into this album off rip. Um, Super catchy. The beat was great. And just, I was like, all right, so he's starting off hot. So I was saying to myself, I'm like, I don't know if, he can keep up with this throughout the rest of the album. And boy, was I wrong. And I am so glad I was wrong, because every song was able to either keep that expectation of, like, this album started off hot and it's like keeping, the heat going and the momentum that it was at, or it raised the bar. Obviously songs like the lead single Tiramisu, which was very well liked by, the community. But there was a couple notable songs that I wanted to point out that I was like, if you're watching this before listening to it, I would check out for the first time. That being Rendezvous, Rosary was a great song, K9, Excavator, and we'll say the outro song, Sweet Home. And a couple of things that I wanted to point out with this album was he has perfected something that a lot of artists try to do, and it just sounds too, like, you would have to go into the album and listen to it in order for it to make sense. That being song transitions within an album. A lot of artists do it right, but a lot of artists do it, I'm not going to say wrong, but do it to a point where you have to listen to, one song before to get into another song, and then there's another song that transitions into that. And what I'm kinda getting at, and an example of that was Dopamine by, Lil Tecca, which great album, by the way. I'm not trying to, discredit any of that, because that album was really good and was very well received by me and, my buddies who listened to that album with. So shout out Connor and Nick, because I will never forget that album experience, because that was a great time. Um, but yeah, I thought that, like, I liked how Lil Tecca, transitioned each song into each other. But I feel like, um, after, listening to the album and listening to it over and over, when you start putting songs off of that album into, like, say, like, your playlists, you will hit shuffle on the playlist, and, it is what it is. So a song from Dopamine will play, and then you'll kind of start to hear a buildup of the next song that it transitions to in the album. And then you're kind of like, oh, well, now I have to play the next song in the album. And then it just kind of, comes a repetitive pattern there that you're seeing. But with this album, that it does is it's very like, it's almost like seamless transitions. And I found myself like, okay, I noticed that it transitioned into the next song, but it didn't like have a big buildup. You know what I mean? But this has a lot of playlist potential. Is what I'm gonna call it, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I'll call it playlist potential. Where you can throw songs like this and just shuffle them, and you don't have to worry about, having to listen to the next song or the song prior in the track list in order to kind of get a full experience when listening to it. A couple of other things that I noticed that he did that I like that artists are doing and continue to do, and I hope that, you know, artists keep doing this, is hidden features. Because you look at the track list as is. Obviously, I have it pulled up on my phone. You can see here, and if I'll probably put a graphic up here. There are no known features. Like it doesn't. It says it has no features, but you go in listening to it, then you catch one hidden feature. Like I think it took maybe two, but definitely three songs to get into for you to realize that there's hidden features, which gets you to want to listen to the rest of the album, which I like that in artists, because it's what keeps you wanting to stay and listen to the whole thing rather than just being like, okay, I know what to expect. So I can skip this, and this song and go to, we'll say like a Future feature or a Travis Scott feature or a Drake feature in most cases. Because that's all people really kind of are like intrigued the most about within an album. So seeing that like albums like this have hidden features, it's like you never know what to expect. So you're kind of excited, and it gives you the thrill to want to listen to the whole thing, which I really loved that Don Toliver did that with this album. And I don't know if he did that with Heartstone Psycho or his other albums, but I'm, glad that he did it here. I know Travis Scott has done it definitely before. He did it with Astro World. He did it with Utopia. And it's a big, like, it's becoming a more popular thing that I'm really liking. I know The Weeknd did it as well for Hurry Up Tomorrow. So it like I said, it's something that keeps the view or keeps the listener wanting to, stay throughout the whole track list, because you never know who to expect or, what can come. Like with Utopia, how they had hidden Drake features, and it was like those reactions you see on YouTube, those are there forever, and those are real genuine reactions. And I like that, artists are doing that. Another thing that I noticed that I was like, okay, I got to talk about this, was the outro song Sweet Home. Now, if you haven't listened to the album yet, I'm giving you the chance now to click off this video and go listen to at least Sweet Home before I talk about it. So I'll give you a minute. All right, now that you've listened to it, I love that he took inspiration and didn't sample, but he took inspiration from Sweet Home Alabama by Leonard Skinner. Great flip on like that kind of, because it's a totally different genre of music and a totally different time, but yet it's such a popular song that was well received by, all age groups. Because, I'm 21 and I like know and love the song Sweet Home Alabama, even though it came out years and years ago. Like my parents love that song. Like you could ask your freaking grandmother about Sweet Home Alabama, and I guarantee you she'll know that song. 9 times out of 6, 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, we'll say. But anyways, Sweet Home, he uses that kind of core. I think he uses the chorus where he kind of flips it, and instead of saying Sweet Home Alabama, he says Sweet Home California. And there was another part of the chorus that he flipped and used, but I it was something that I noticed, and I was like, I really like how he did that, and I wanted to talk about it. So it was one of those where, like, through every song, I wasn't ever bored. You know what I mean? Because, like, you always have those albums most of the time where you're like listening and then you're like, okay, this is kind of like a filler song or whatever. But this one, like, it may not be crazy to say, but I might be throwing all of these songs onto my playlist. That's how, like, engaged it kept me throughout the entire time. Because this album is 18 songs and 50 minutes long. So it's about an hour long album. Kind of short, especially for 18 tracks. But he keeps you engaged throughout the whole time. And it was a very enjoyable experience for me, of course. And I will definitely say that all of my opinions and everything that I'm saying is before looking at social media, before looking at Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, for all, like, what other people are, saying and reviewing about this album. This is coming from me. This is from the heart. This is genuine. But yeah, I was a big fan of this album. Hopefully, if you guys are listening to this before listening to the album, I hope you guys enjoy it, because I know for sure that I did. And if you didn't, it's just not your cup of tea, which is totally fine. Everyone has, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion, of course. But I thought I would for sure share my opinion, because I loved this album too much and had too much to say to not, come back and do a podcast episode, which I want to preface by saying I apologize, and I hope everyone had a happy holidays, because that's why I haven't posted in so long. And the last post you got from me was, I think, around early December, which was the Clash Royale Road to 600 Trophies video, which I have episode 3. I recorded it before Christmas, but I wasn't able to edit it because I was back home at my parents' house enjoying the holidays, and I hope you guys were as well. But that video is coming very soon. I will be editing that as soon as I can and get that back to you guys as soon as you guys can, or as soon as I can. And I thought I would make a podcast episode because I haven't in so long. I've made YouTube videos for, the channel, and, those are whatever. And like I said in those videos, I have really no sense of direction, but I want to be able to maintain talking about music, because that's what I started this channel for. And I want to be able to have sections on the show where I can talk music, do gaming videos, where I talk about sports. So if this is something that you guys enjoy and want me to keep doing, I will 100% keep doing it, because I really enjoy doing not only this, but the gaming videos. And when I do shows with Jacob on his show, or I just really enjoy doing it. So yeah, if you guys want to see me do reviews, whether it's upcoming albums that, I'll definitely do recordings, post drop, or albums that have already come out and you're like, oh, I want to see what you think of this, and this album. You know what I mean? Like, give a rating, give your opinions. Say it was for, I'll just give an example because it just came out, the Kid Leroy's album, which, if you guys want, I will 100% do an album review on that. But with all that, it's finally time for my rating of Don Toliver's album, Octane. This album, I would say, gets a strong 9 out of 10. I think it was great from top to bottom. I might even bump it up to a 10, because, like I said, no other album has had me listen to the full thing, and then as soon as I finish, go back and listen to the full thing again. Don Toliver, you have made music history for me. But yeah, a great album. And if you guys haven't checked it out yet, I would totally 100% check it out. I hope you guys do enjoy the album, because, or as close to as much as I did, because without it, I wouldn't be here. Literally. Like, if it wasn't that good, like, it wouldn't have brought me back to making a podcast episode. That's how, like, impactful it was for me, at least. But yeah, with my review out of the way, I'm definitely still going to check out Twitter and see what they have to say, get their opinions. But, you guys have my opinion, and take it with a grain of salt, of course, whether you thought the album was bad or even better than what I said, which, I mean, a 9 or 10 out of 10 is, the best it's going to get. For sure, I would definitely recommend this album if you're more into, Don Toliver's sound. Obviously, if you listen to folk music or pop or country or stuff like that, you're probably not going to like this. And if you want album reviews of any of those genres of music, feel free to let me know. I will totally do that. And I will be as unbiased as possible because, I love all types of music. I've been put onto many types of music and I love music in general. That's why I'm here. That's why I do this. But yeah, I'm excited for more drops from him, whether it's Don Toliver, Travis Scott. I know Drake has Iceman on the way. So hopefully that comes out soon and I can do an album review on that. But yeah, I had a lot of fun doing this, recording this. Um, and of course, if you guys want more album reviews, feel free to let me know in the comments and I will for sure do that. And with that, I thought I'd keep it kind of quick, kind of brief so that, you guys, I keep your attention span for a little longer. But that was my album review for Don Toliver's Octane. I hope you guys enjoyed and hopefully I can do more of these if this is well received. And enjoy yourselves, enjoy the music, enjoy the album. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later and be safe.